Imagine a place where your health is the state's top priority, not because you're sick, but to keep you well. The Soviet Sanatorium wasn't a luxury resort, but a state-run institution for rest, recuperation, and preventative care. Built in areas of natural beauty, these centers used clean air and mineral waters as part of the cure. More than health centers, they symbolized the Soviet promise: care from cradle to grave, a right earned through work. In the Soviet Union, the sanatorium was more than a holiday. It was a symbol of the system's grand ambitions. The Soviet Union poured vast resources into its sanatorium network. Thousands of facilities, millions of citizens served each year. Trade unions and ministries managed the system, with specific sanatoriums for different professions. Getting AI was a reward for hard work, a sign of your value to the state. Sanatoriums were a cornerstone of the Soviet social safety net, alongside free education, healthcare, and guaranteed jobs. The right to rest was enshrined in the constitution, and sanatoriums made it real. They showed the state cared for workers as people, not just producers. Life inside was communal and structured: shared meals, group exercise, lectures, and cultural events. Privacy was limited by design, promoting camaraderie and collective identity. The sanatorium was a microcosm of the ideal Soviet society, collective good above individual desires. The system was also a tool for social engineering, teaching citizens how to live and work together. Economically, it made sense. A healthy workforce meant higher productivity and fewer sick days. The cost of a few weeks' rest was seen as an investment in national output. Sanatoriums were factories for health, as vital as any steel mill or tractor plant. The health of the nation and the economy were intertwined, with the sanatorium as the engine. In the Soviet vision, caring for workers was both practical and ideological. In the mid-20th century, Soviet architecture embraced modernism and the optimism of the space race. Sanatoriums became showcases for bold futuristic designs. Concrete was the material of choice. These buildings looked like spaceships or crystals, with sweeping curves, sharp angles, and dramatic cantilevers. Raised on stilts, dotted with porthole windows, they seemed to hover above the landscape. This was Soviet modernism, brutalism, celebrating raw concrete and monumental forms. The architecture was meant to inspire awe and signal the USSR's technological prowess. Sanatoriums dominated their surroundings, asserting humanity's power to shape nature. The buildings themselves were part of the therapy, immersing guests in a vision of progress. Interiors featured grand foyers, spiral staircases, and light-filled halls. Walls were adorned with mosaics of workers, scientists, and cosmic exploration. Custom furniture and sleek lines completed the utopian atmosphere. Every detail reinforced the idea of health, modernity, and collective purpose. Visitors were transported to a world where the future felt within reach. The architecture was a promise. The bright communist tomorrow was just around the corner. Sanatoriums became icons of Soviet ambition, machines for healing, and monuments to progress. Sanatoriums were built in the USSR's most scenic spots: Black Sea coasts, Caucasus Mountains, Baltic forests. Locations were chosen for their natural healing properties: sea air, mineral springs, pine forests. In theory, any worker could receive aid, but a hierarchy existed. Elite sanatoriums for top officials, more modest ones for others. The Druzhba Sanatorium in Yalta, built in the 1980s, looks like a giant gear or landed spacecraft, raised on concrete legs with panoramic sea views. The Kirpati Sanatorium, also in Crimea, resembles a flying saucer, designed for maximum sun exposure. Skaltubo in Georgia featured grand neoclassical structures and later modernist additions. The Zarya Sanatorium in Foros was an exclusive retreat for the elite. Famously, Gorbachev was held there during the 1991 coup. Each facility reflected the era's architectural ambitions, from Stalinist palaces to space-age experiments. Sanatoriums were more than health resorts. They were statements of Soviet power and vision. Your profession often determined your destination, reinforcing the system's social order. These iconic buildings remain striking symbols of the USSR's grand designs. They showcase diversity in style, from ornate to futuristic. The sanatorium project was as much about spectacle as it was about health. Life in a Soviet sanatorium was highly structured, more regimented than relaxing. Days began with communal morning exercises, followed by prescribed breakfasts in shared dining halls. Diets were tailored by doctors, focused on health over taste. Mornings and afternoons were filled with medical treatments, mineral baths, mud wraps, electrotherapy, and even salt caves or sun lamp sessions. Nature-based therapies, hydrotherapy, climatotherapy were central to the experience. A mandatory afternoon nap, the dead hour, enforced rest. Leisure was also prescribed: libraries, cinemas, concerts, and excursions to local sites. Social interaction was encouraged. Many friendships and marriages began here. The atmosphere blended hospital, holiday camp, and community center. Everyone wore similar clothes, ate the same food, and followed the same schedule. For many, it was their only chance for travel and leisure. The experience was deeply collective, reinforcing Soviet ideals. Sanatorium stays were a cherished break from daily hardships. For millions, they remain a fondly remembered part of Soviet life. The Soviet Union's collapse in 1991 spelled disaster for the sanatorium system. State funding vanished, and the right to rest became meaningless. Some prime properties were privatized, turned into luxury resorts for the new elite. Most sanatoriums, especially in less desirable locations, fell into ruin, too costly to maintain without subsidies. Abandoned, they became haunting monuments to a lost era, their grand halls and mosaics decaying. A few survived as modest health resorts, catering to older generations who still believed in their therapeutic value. These surviving institutions are time capsules, with Soviet-era furnishings and equipment still in use. The original mission, affordable healthcare for all, was largely lost. The ruins now stand as reminders of both ambition and collapse. They offer a glimpse into a vanished world, suspended between past and present. Recently, Soviet sanatoriums have attracted new interest from architects, historians, and tourists. Their bold designs and monumental scale are now seen as valuable cultural heritage. Photographers document their haunting beauty, sharing images of decay and lost utopias online. This ruin porn has sparked debates about preservation. Should these buildings be saved or left to fade? Some advocate for landmark status, recognizing their architectural significance. Restoration is costly and controversial, but there's growing recognition of their historical value. For tourists, visiting a sanatorium is like stepping into a time capsule or exploring a lost world. Soviet tourism is a niche, with these buildings as key attractions. Whether functioning or abandoned, they offer a unique window into the Soviet past. Today, these concrete giants are sites of memory, discovery, and fascination for a new generation. The legacy of Soviet sanatoriums is complex, symbols of both care and control. Their rigid routines and grand architecture reflected the state's reach into daily life. Yet, they were built on the idea that everyone deserved rest, healthcare, and access to nature. This vision of equity is appealing in a world where such things are often privileges. Architecturally, sanatoriums reveal a playful, experimental side of Soviet modernism. Their bold forms inspire contemporary architects and challenge stereotypes of Soviet design. The nostalgia for sanatoriums is less about politics, more about lost social solidarity. They embody the contradictions of the Soviet project: utopian and authoritarian, caring and controlling. Today, they are studied as vital chapters in global modernism. These buildings are artifacts of a dream, of a worker's paradise rendered in concrete and glass. The story of Soviet sanatoriums is the story of a dream, a society where workers' well-being was paramount. Their space-age architecture embodied hopes for a glorious future that never arrived. Today, many stand as silent, crumbling monuments to that lost world. Yet, they continue to inspire awe and curiosity. Rediscovering these buildings is an act of cultural memory, forcing us to look beyond Cold War cliches. Sanatoriums were places of both care and control, brilliance and flaw. Their ruins ask us, what does society owe its workers? What is the value of public health? These buildings are echoes of a future that never came, challenging us to imagine alternatives. They remind us that history is full of unrealized dreams, and that architecture can shape and haunt our collective memory. The story of the Soviet sanatorium is far from over.